Hello and welcome to Sussex Coast. Today I bring you a project from the mess on my kitchen table. Yep, that's right. And let me tell you, you need this kind of crafting in your life. It will completely transform the way you work. Do you ever complete the junk journal in one sitting, or do you get distracted and overwhelmed with all the millions of tiny decisions that we need to make while designing one? Well, I know I do. But this trick changed it all. I was inspired by Natasa from Treasure Books, the reigning junk journal queen and the creative genius extraordinaire. If you are here, you most certainly know her, and if you don't, you're missing out. On her YouTube channel, she has recently started a Trash to Treasure series where she just shoves her hand into her junk drawer and pulls out a handful of, junk. Offcuts from previous projects, things she doesn't even know the name of, and she challenges herself to create something with just those scraps, thus limiting the choice drastically. I have watched 3 of those videos so far, and I thought, how liberating is this? If you, like me, become overwhelmed with too much choice, then this is the perfect way to actually complete a project that's bigger than a tag or a bookmark. This limiting of your options both reduces performance anxiety and enhances creativity. What's not to like? I don't know about you, but I don't really have a junk drawer. I leave little piles of junk everywhere I go in my house, and that is driving everybody insane, myself included. Stencils everywhere, as my partner keeps muttering when he can't even put his cup down. So here is my attempt to reduce the mess in my house and increase my productivity. I have sped up the process, but I have not cut anything out, so that you get the full experience, warts and all. The whole process, all told, took me 77 minutes, and that's the quickest I have ever completed and sewn in a junk journal with 3 signatures. So the process. Step 1 you have already seen. So I started by sorting my paper and other items into rough categories. So into papers you can possibly write on, then fun papers that have a pleasing sound or texture or are simply fun to look at, then cardstock for covers and tags in pockets, and finally fabrics and fibers for covers and decoration and tabs. Step number 2, I decided what I wanted my project to be, and I cut my substrate to size. I had quite a few bits of decent cardboard pre-cut from various boxes, so I decided to make 2 journals, a small one and a tiny one. I wanted the tiny one to be a traditional journal with bound-in signatures, and then the small one with removable signatures like a traveller's notebook. On reflection, that in itself was too ambitious, because who manages to make 2 journals in one sitting? Definitely not I. In this video I will only complete the tiny journal, roughly the size of my hand. The embellishment and making of the other one will be published in volume 2 of this emerging mini-series. Step 3, I selected the papers for my signatures. So that process is again inspired by Natasa from Treasure Books. So I made sure that each of my signatures had some plain paper, some special paper, some book text, some fun, unusual paper. And I then ripped my papers to size to fit inside my cover. I decided to not use my paper trimmer or my guillotine that I dearly love, because I thought I'm going to try and make this with minimal tools. Okay, so I literally used a ruler and really rubbish school scissors. And that extra decision, let me tell you, the decision of firmly keeping my butt in the chair really meant that I didn't get distracted the way I usually do. So I was literally creating by the seat of my pants. I like the way the papers are all different sizes and textures, but I did make sure that they roughly fit into my cover. I counted the pages in each signature, that's the group of bound pages in a book, that to make sure the signatures are roughly the same size and contain roughly the same kind of elements. And I had to be really creative here because I didn't have a lot of what I would normally deem as writable paper, and like Natasha, I also like to write in my journals. I absolutely love the visual aspect of and tactile aspect of a junk journal, but I really like also being able to write something. Okay, so I had to use all kinds of weird things that I thought, okay, I can just over it, or I can cover it with something. So in went all kinds of funny scraps. So here I'm distributing them between the signatures and writing down how many pages I put in so that I would remember. I just love how effortlessly this all came together. Once you get started and you know you can't leave, you just get on with it. Oh, so much fun. I found other bits on my desk, so in the end it was 7 pages in each signature. 7 folded sheets. Yay, cover time. Okay, so step 4, I made a cover for my journal. In the mess that came off my dining table, there was a tea towel that had seen better days, and I wanted to throw away, but kind of didn't, because it had these chickens on it. And now, because I had limited myself, it came to play, and it fulfilled its destiny of being pretty once again. Okay, so I cut it to size. The other fabric I used is just an old bed sheet that I used in my paper making process. And I love how simple it is to make this cover, because it's just literally glue and fabric. I decided against sewing as well, because I knew if I get my sewing machine out, I'll get distracted again. So all the sewing, if it happens, it will happen in the next video. So I'll have lots of little scraps to play with next time. And that's the cover done. I could have just left the inner cover because it was fine. The cereal box looked fine, but I had the fabric, so I used it. And then I thought later on I can stamp on it or something to make it look like a designer fabric. You know, the ones that you can buy with the famous designer names on. And then I bound in my signatures step 5. All right. I chose to do the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, something I haven't done for a while. I did all the right things. I marked the top, I made the holes, everything was, well, perfect. Only I ended up struggling so much. I managed to sew in the template. That's how effective it was. So just a reminder, this is not a tutorial, don't do what I do. Although I made it work, but yeah, that's not how to do it. It's really tempting to edit this out, but I'm not going to. So look up 3-hole pamphlet stitch if you want to see how it's actually done. So I will say this again, limiting your supplies really forces you to be creative and just power through. And there's no time to be paralyzed by choice. Oh, and here we go. Here we are. Step 6. You admire your creation. Isn't she adorable? So squishy and so cute, so many different papers. So thank you again, Natasha, for inspiring the junk journal community. If you enjoyed this video and you're still here, thank you. Stay tuned for part 2 where we make the bigger journal and embellish both. But in the meantime, check out this video that YouTube has matched to your interest. Thank you very much for watching and hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.